live. And it takes me a sec to find the Zoom meeting again. Hi, everybody. Welcome to a branch of Laurels. My name's Ashaxi. I'm from Ontario, and this is my weekly interview series where I interview Laurels from around the known world. And yeah, ignore those closed captions. Tonight we have Madame Ghislane d'Auxerre from the West Kingdom. She's a Laurel for historical divination practices, which is fascinating to me. So I'm really looking forward to hearing all about it. So we usually start these off with asking, what is your SCA origin story? How did you find the SCA and what made you fall in love with it?
So back in 1989, I am originally from Southern California. And back in 1989, I was attending the University of Irvine. And I was leaving a very mind-numbingly difficult math test at night, because sure, and was walking through one of the quads because I have no sense of preservation. It's at night, like 11 o'clock at night, fine, no one's around. But I start hearing this interesting noise, music, and it's like, oh, okay. And I just kind of follow it because I love it. And I stumble across these individuals. They're in normal street clothes, but they are dancing. And I walk up on them and I go, well, when they hit a break, it's like, are you practicing for a performance coming up? Are you doing this? Oh, no. We belong to this medieval society, and this is just our weekly dance practice. And I was always one of those kids that grew up like, I'm a fairy princess. Oh my gosh, yay! Or going to the Renaissance Fair, which was huge down SoCal. And I thought this was fantastic. And I'll admit that I first got into it for the dress up. I wanted to play dress up and be in the costumes and everything. And it was dancing, and then it was sewing, and then it was embroidery, and then it was research, and then it was, and like everywhere I looked, there was something new I could jump into. And I am a extrovert, a huge extrovert. So being able to go to, that came from a very sheltered childhood too. So it's like, I get to go out, I get to see people. We're going for a ride, Mom? Huh? I stick my head out the window. It's I'm the happy little puppy. So going to the events and seeing all of this was very very great, good for the heart, and very engaging and all of that. And then as I stayed in the society and found more things to do and more things to be interested in, is kind of why I stayed. So that's 1989. So here we're going on 32 years.
Wow. That's a good long stint.
Yeah.
Did you have mentors at the beginning? Anybody that kind of took you by the hand and showed you the ropes?
The University of UCI, University of Irvine, is known as the College of Fenwood Knoll. And the College of Fenwood Knoll is within the borders of the Barony of Gildenholt, which is Orange County, essentially. And the Baroness at the time, shout out to the amazing woman who is Mistress Rosemary Willowood de St. Anne, her and her fiance, who was the herald of the time, Cavan, they took on the kids because they're an older couple. So they took us like teenagers or nouveau college kids. Absolutely. You want help with your name and device? You need, yeah, we'll throw snacks at you. Yeah, we can figure out clothing for you all. There's lectures over here. And they were great about supporting us that way. And once I started branching out from the barony, seeing all the other baronies and how they also were very encouraging of their colleges or of their shires or of their little areas as well. But those two individuals, they're the ones that chose my name. I actually didn't know what I wanted to be called, except, okay, I was in French class. I was taking French. Ask me if I know any French. No. You were complimenting me about how I pronounced my name. That's it. that and maison. I mean, baguette. I mean, that's about all I can get out of this.
I took 4 years in high school and I got nothing.
4 years of Spanish in junior high and high school, and then in French. No, these languages, I'm mixing up everything. I'm surprised I wasn't adding in like Aramaic and Russian and a little bit of Portuguese. I mean, it was, yeah. This is why I say my own language is mine. It's like I don't understand what you're saying. You understood what I meant though. That's we're gonna go with that. See, I warned you about my sense of humor. But I was in French class, and I had just learned about this region in France called Auxerre, which is now I'm trying to remember. I think it's southeast of Paris, and I said I'd like to have something that is unique that no one else has, and this has a French sound to it. And he's flipping through his books and everything, the Herald, and he goes, how about that? How do you pronounce it? I believe it's pronounced this way. Now, we have no idea if that's the way it was ever pronounced, because everyone else I've ever talked to now yet over the next 30 years, that's not the way apparently it's pronounced. However, it's the way I now pronounce it, and it's never going to change. So Ghislane is it. It's probably either Ghislane or Ghislane or Ghislane, but it's like Ghislane. Okay.
That's what we're doing.
Yeah, but it sounded perfect, and I didn't know of anyone else with that name, and I wasn't going to be a Kate or a Morgan or an Anna or whatever, any of those. I wasn't going to be another cat running through the house like it's the Matrix or whatever.
Right.
So
I totally understand. I also chose
your name is gorgeous. I love your name. It is absolutely gorgeous.
My sister likes to tease me. I got it off the bottom of a pot in a woman's grave, and she likes to tease me that it's really Heko in Mexico. Which, if you grew up in Southern California, you understand what that is.
Oh yeah.
So yeah. Anyway.
Okay.
So did you continue? That's Caid, right?
That is Caid.
And did you continue there until you graduated college, or what was
no? The thing with I had an interesting life. Going from sheltered to not sheltered is a bit of a culture shock. And I wasn't in UC Irvine for more than 2 years. At that point, I was having to pay my own way, and it's like, okay, I'm not really affording this. So, but stayed in the SCA and moved around within Southern California. I got married, and in about 2003, July 4th weekend, 2003, my ex and I moved up to Northern California. He had gotten a job with a company in Vallejo, California, which is East Bay, and moved up there. And I have to say, I was bitter. I didn't want to leave Caid, but I was married. I was like, okay, fine. And I spent the first year being in the West Kingdom actively hating everything about Northern California. It doesn't have any delis. I don't know the freeway system. How dare you not have these museums? I want to go to the Getty. And it's like, oh. It was I was
great Mexican food.
Okay, they don't actually. Trying to explain to someone about some of the best taquerias, whatever, that you want to go to in Los Angeles. Yeah, you're basically gonna go into one of the more sketchy parts of town. You're gonna go down this alley, and the third door on the right may or may not be barred. And that's where the hole in the wall and the best food's going to be, because Abuelita there, she's got it made, and she's giving you all the good stuff. Don't look for a grade on the door because the health department doesn't want to know. But yeah, anyways, but I was I was not giving anything a chance, and I was being bitter and whatever. Finally, we were encouraged to go check out an event in I believe it's Salinas, in Salinas. And wow, it was the people, as soon as they see you and they go, "Hi, who are you?" And all, it's very engaging, and people coming up to you and saying hi and going, "Wow, you're new here. Well, let's introduce you to more people." And it's like, please don't let there be a test on names. I mean, I'm getting overwhelmed here. And that's actually where I met my second Laurel to be, was at that first event, and things just kind of snowballed from there. I like to say that in Caid is where I was born, where I started. And that was 13 years in Caid. And then moving up to the West Kingdom, I like to think that's where I matured.
And so you were apprenticed to someone in Caid?
I was apprentice. The gentleman's name is Master Bruce Draconarius of Mistholm. And he is a Laurel for heraldic research, among other things like glass etching and such like that. He's also an amazing scribe. But so yeah, I was being trained for heraldic research. And you would like to think not, hey, there's nothing really adventurous or dangerous about that. Yeah, until you start transcribing a actual 16th century book that still has the lead paint in it.
Oh.
Yeah, moving on. Not lead paint. Actually, it was oh God, it was some of the pigments were just toxic. Moving up to the West Kingdom, 2004. No, I'm sorry. I moved up 2002. I started playing 2003. I'm sorry. 2003 in the summer, late summer, I was apprenticed to Master Juan Santiago. I never go with the normal stuff. He is a Laurel for performance magic, like street performing, stage performance, also for periods historical theater and such like that. And I was apprenticed for magic. And so I'm learning all about the various forms of manuals and magic effects that existed at the time. And it's just an incredible history. That's going to segue really quick into my actual art form, if that's okay.
That's fine. I'm on the ride.
Anyone who's watching this is me. I'm babbling. You just put the needle down on the record. It's just going to keep going. Okay, sorry. So I believe this was 2005, 2006. There, in the Kingdom of the West, we have principalities. It was a coronet tourney for the Principality of the Mists. And they had, at the time, an arts minister and a science minister under the one category. And so they had two different competitions, an arts competition, a science competition with a theme. The theme for this particular one was divination. Now, I hadn't started on this at all. The science was write a paper about a tool of divination. Okay, so you have people writing stuff about scrying bowls or tarot cards or dowsing rods or whatever. Great, that's fun. The art was to do a performance or demonstration of a form of divination. When this got announced, there were some individuals that had unfortunate knee-jerk reactions because this wasn't really discussed or done or anything like that. And when I say they had a knee-jerk reaction, what I mean is that they went to the bod. They didn't discuss it with the prince and princess. They didn't discuss it with the ANS or the king and queen or anything like that. They went to the bod. The Friday of the event, before I leave the house, because I think I was the autocrat for that. Sorry, event steward. I have to remember that too. I get a call from the prince going, okay, the bod just called me. We can't do the arts competition. We can do the sciences, but not the arts, because they feel at the time it was running afoul of the don't. No
religious practices.
Thank you. And okay, that's a bummer. I get it. Unfortunate. The week after that, I'm going, this something doesn't make sense, because divination is talked about from the beginning of time, practically, going forward. And it was such a horrible, evil, no good, nasty thing. Why was it so prevalent? Because we see it in artwork, we see it in literature, and not always in a bad context. And I'm just doing the most basic of research on the internet at the time. And I'm finding things that counter a lot of the misconceptions of the whole thing. And I'm going, you know what? This is something that adds to the knowledge, because I was always brought up to understand that the SCA researches and recreates to the best of its ability the arts and sciences of the Middle Ages and the Renaissance. Well, everything art and science wise is interconnected. One thing affects another, and it's like the butterfly effect.
It shapes a culture.
Exactly. And so here you have this thing, and this practice, this concept that went over countries and cultures and ages and eras and all that. And it affected socioeconomic, it affected religion, it affected finances and foreign politics and fashion and so much other stuff. And I'm going, it is a disservice, not like I was providing some great thing, but to me it felt like it was a disservice not to have, or not to engage with, a missing part of history and education and research over misconceptions. And then I just kind of tumbled down it, and it came out that the historical magic, the stage magic that I was learning, played into it quite a bit, because there was a tiny bit of crossover here and there, because there's so many examples of the Catholic Church at the time in England and France and Germany, where they were using stage magic of a sense to add to the ambiance or the special effects of different sermons and presentations and such like that. And that's kind of where I started. And then it just went into, I like to say it wasn't so much of a rabbit hole as I found the rabbit subway system, and it's branching every which way. And I don't know, are you Washington or are you Oregon?
Washington, but right on the border.
Okay, I don't know if they have like really obnoxious freeway systems like California does, but
no, we really
they
don't.
got the one.
Yeah, there's three. There's two north south and one east west, so it's pretty. It's nothing like LA. LA is crazy, and Bay Area is pretty crazy too. So yeah,
and yet, to me, the Bay Area is a much slower paced. I will go down with friends to Southern California, say we're going to Disneyland or something else, and they hit a certain part on the 5 freeway, and then you see the hands, the white knuckles start on the wheel and everything. It's like, how about you pull over and let me drive? Really? I've got my insurance. I'll get us there just fine. Because right now, you're pissing me off. You're pissing off everyone else around you, because you're going 70 in the 95-mile-an-hour zone. Not really, but everyone believes this. So, by the way, apologies to anyone who's watching. I recently moved in the last week or so. I can't even find my cups. I'm amazed I found my garb. Okay, so
So you fell into this rabbit warren of information, and it sounds like you fell in love with the subject.
I like to think that anyone who is laureled for an art form, one, it should be a passion. I've met a few people out there. There's this one costumer, seamstress that I know, and I who was elevated. I said, "You must love this." She goes, I hate sewing. I hate costuming. I hate it, but I want to look good. And the only way to look good is to do it myself. And she also did all the research, and she looks gorgeous. She always looks gorgeous. She's amazing. But it's like, okay, that's like, I will do this out of spite. Damn it, I'm good at it. So, okay. For me, though, it's every little bit of information that I found that somehow related to something else, be it cooking, be it woodworking, be it pottery, be it music, be it all these or fun history things or whatever. To me, that has been amazing. And then being able to hand off these tidbits of information to other people. I mean, I have individuals in the cooking field go, tell me about these things. And okay, this is something about wheat. This is something about chicken. This is something about cheese. And you can, lots of fun stuff with that. I will note there are, I actually don't know the number, a few individuals on the East Coast, I believe East Kingdom, that are laureled as soothsayers. We kind of had a discussion about this. And they were laureled before me in the 70s, but they were specifically soothsayers. And what we understood about it is they are believers in the fact that they embrace this is their practice, this is their belief, their and belief system and all of that. Me doing this, I don't believe in any of the spiritualness around it. I'm in it for the mechanics, I'm in it for the history, I'm in it for the psychology and all of that. And to me, that's more than enough. But in getting into it, I've dispelled so many myths. And I think it was probably the hardest thing, because this isn't like it's a normal thing when people are going, oh, you're doing embroidery. Oh, you're doing calligraphy and illumination. Oh, you're doing metal work or something like that. And it's all very, they compartmentalize it going, oh, okay, this is something. It's like, yeah, I'm doing divination. And so many people coming up to me going, oh, ha, ha, ha. Oh, you're serious? Yes, I'm serious. Yes. And getting through years worth of people joking or mocking it because, oh, once you start understanding how ingrained this all is in history, it becomes fascinating.
Even modernly, I mean, you look at the Reagans had a in-house astrologer, right?
Yeah, they did. And
there's a lot of that throughout history.
Yeah, and a lot of people going, oh, well, we don't do that these days. So we don't. Okay, even if you don't check your horoscope, have you ever flipped a coin? Okay. Have you ever, as a kid or know your kids or somebody's kid, and they've got the flower and they're going, loves me not, loves me not. Same thing. That's actually period. I can document it. The coin flipping, I can document it. Anything. This is the fun one. Okay. All y'all watching at home, this is the essence of divination. Playing the odds. Chaos theory. Fine, whatever. What if something has, if a result of an action or activity has a random outcome of any fashion, that can be used as divination. If I have a cup of water in my hand, this one's pretty common. Anyone who's watched Jurassic Park, it's in there. Okay, the cup of water, whatever, and I splash it down onto the ground, it's never going to make the same pattern twice, ever. That's where you start getting people reading patterns. Same thing. When you have people that's peeling the apple, which is a much later bit, but they're peeling the apple so you have an entirely complete apple peel, toss it over your shoulder, and it's supposed to form a letter of the person you're supposed to marry. And again, pattern, lightning strikes, the movement of animals, the flow of water, earthquakes, clouds. The ancient Greeks and Romans had great ones. One was you wake up, you leave your house, you go to a certain point in front of the gate, you plug your ears, you close your eyes, and you walk out the gate to the city. The first thing you see and you hear is going to determine your week, or is going to answer a question you have. It's like, okay, I like it. And the research was only a bit of it because like I said, I want the mechanics, because the mechanics in psychology explain a lot of it. So I wanted to do demos. And I actually had to speak to the crown and to the seneschal and to the bod, going, I am not actually performing divination. All I'm doing is going through the mechanics to see how it all works together. And I had to, whenever I did a demo, I had to publish going, no actual divination will take place. Anytime I taught a class, no actual divination is taking place. So,
very interesting that you had to make those disclaimers.
But, and I get it. And it's, and at some point, maybe I won't have to, but it is one of those things just to go, look, we don't want to cause any misunderstanding, especially with the modern population that would come in for visiting or just to view or whatever. I teach a lot of classes and I do a lot of demos on different styles. And I can list a few of them if you don't mind.
Sure.
I teach classes, the basic 101, just kind of the history. The body divine, which is divination utilizing parts of the body. The scrying game, I love that name. Basically talking about all the ways of scrying, be it on water bowls or mirrors or olive oil on your fingernails on a full moon. Fun. Great for the cuticles. There's that. And necromancy. Favorite myth to debunk of all time was necromancy. Because if I ask you, what do you think necromancy is?
Something to do with dead people.
Yeah, okay, pretty easy. But I get a lot of people going, oh, well, you're raising the dead. No, that's Hollywood. Thank you very much. Or 18th century literature. Necromancy is akin, not exact, but it's very much akin to mediumship. You're basically summoning a spirit to speak with. That is what necromancy is. Now, it evolved over like a couple of 100 years to be getting a spirit to do something for you or to answer certain questions. Now, remember when I said that I'd done this research and was debunking a lot of things? Necromancy came up as huge, going, oh my gosh, it's devil worship. No, there was no devil in the worship at this point. Later on, yeah, but I stop at 1650. I have a hard stop because there's enough happening. And I apologize, as much as I want to expand out into different countries and cultures, I've had to, for the time being, stop with Europe and some of the Baltics and areas into Russia.
Because there's just too much.
Yeah, exactly. And I keep it within the SCA timeline, because otherwise I wouldn't come up to breathe and know the light of day. It's so much. I want to get more into Japan. I want to get more into the African countries and such like that. Wherever we have eventually to get to the new world, sure, but again, that is a whole nother colossus bit of research that I'm not yet ready for. And just to let everyone know, and you as a Laurel know this, once you become a Laurel, you don't stop learning. Nothing stops. If nothing else, you crank it up because, oh my gosh, there's so much more you find out. But the demos I've done uh, dowsing demos. Dowsing was not used to find water in period. And it was used, you'll find it in, it was, in some cases, it was used to find a thief or find a winner or something like that. I was using it to find who would be in the finals for a crown tourney. That freaked people out. But it was also used to find the fumes from minerals. So it was used by miners who were looking for certain veins of certain minerals. They would think it would react to the fumes of that mineral.
Oh, interesting.
My favorite, okay, if anyone's interested, I have a blog. It is prognosticatingcow.wordpress.com. Prognosticatingcow, singular, .wordpress.com. On there are a number of articles I have written regarding divination. There's glossaries, there's book lists, just like that. But there is also, under projects, there is a video. It is called Ouija Chicken. Let me explain Ouija Chicken. Ouija Chicken is actually, the proper term is called electromancy. And what it is you have a ring of tiles or whatever with letters of the alphabet on them. And on each of these letters of the alphabet, you have a little bit of bird feed, grain, chicken feed, whatever. And you have a chicken. And you toss them into the center of this ring of letters. And like a Ouija board, this chicken is going of its own accord, or maybe it's haunted, but it's going to these each letters, and you start noticing which letters it goes to, and then you start playing anagrams. Say, okay, what did it try to tell us? There's an account of this being done in ancient Rome, where these two individuals were trying to determine who the next emperor would be, and so they were using this form. And they were arrested and executed for it, because how dare you to try to determine who the next emperor is. But I have this video on my my blog site from about, I think it was 2010, 2009, something. And a friend loaned me their chicken. Just walks out, chicken by the name of Rocky. Anyways, and we're watching, and it was at a crown tourney, and they let me go ahead and do this. And chickens going back and forth and back and forth. And so if you want to see how that looks, please go to the website, the blog site, and check out the video.
I put the link in the comments.
Oh, thank you. But yeah, if you ever hear about Ouija chicken, that's pretty much it. But sometimes I've also done things just to encourage people to look at stuff. If I took Ouija chicken, and instead of the chicken, I took peers. And this was really late at night, and they were going, Ghislane, we need you to, the moon is full, we need you to tell our fortunes. You know what? I'm not drinking, but hey, this could be fun. So we did boozomancy. You take a wonderfully tipsy individual, lightly spin them, and which way they tumble, only to find out later it's period.
Nice. Of course it is.
Period.
There's nothing new under the sun.
There isn't. There really isn't.
Yeah, that's history.
But yeah, I have a great time doing demonstrations. Unfortunately, there's just not a lot of, I mean, I'd love to show you in coming up here all the different things I do, but as far as my different demonstrations, they're kind of transitory, is that the word? They're very much in the moment, and it's kind of hard to explain them video is best, or aren't a lot of videos, and taking photographs of somebody throwing an arrow. Oh, okay. So
Um, so did you, let's talk about your laureling. Were you surprised, or how did that go down?
I am nothing if not cheeky and arrogant and vain. I had this idea. I was apprenticed for 15 years. I was eventually laureled in 2017, but I was apprenticed for about 15 years um, before I was offered. The 6th year in, I thought to myself, wouldn't it be funny if I was ever called up and the royals, thinking they're being clever, saying, we would like to offer you whatever. So did you predict this happening? I'd like to pull out something from my pouch, hand it to the royals, them open it up and saying, no, of course not, Your Majesty. Thank you, I accept. I just had this, it's like, oh, I could play the long game on this one. And every event I went to for 10 years, I had a piece of paper that I would occasionally refresh in my pouch that said that. So it was a Sunday morning at a crown tournament, and I had already gotten mostly undressed. My Laurel said, stuff's happening at court, come on. It's like, fine. And I had my pouch on. It's like, oh, okay. Wasn't really thinking about it. I get called up, and the crown goes, we would like to offer you. And then I'm just like looking at them. I have to kind of go back because I wanted to make sure I didn't make the same mistake for when I was offered my pelican. When I was offered my pelican, it was at the end of a coronet tourney. I was the seneschal of the principality, and it was Saturday night. I was sitting in a friend's camp, and he was making dinner, and I was sitting in a director's chair sipping on something, but I was a bit on the tipsy side. It's dark. The crown, for whatever reason, I don't even notice them. They've wandered in. They're wandering in like they're lost. And I'm just still drinking, going, I've done my bows, okay. And it's like, hi, Your Majesty. And all that. A herald on the field in the way distance is yelling something about moving cars. And all you hear is that, da, 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 you should do it now. Like, move your cars now.
Immediately.
To which His Majesty, I'm sitting here in a chair, and I've got my bottle of beer, and he leans into me. He's a very tall man. Leans in, goes, I think they're right. We would like to offer you mints to the Order of the Pelican. And I looked at him going, are you fucking nuts? Oh, God. And then that's when my peripheral vision kicked in, and I see all these faces in the dark surrounding this, and they're like going, and I was like, and he goes, yes, but I still need an answer. Yes, thank you. Oh my gosh. And it's like, okay, remember never to do that again if you're ever offered again. It's like, okay. And so I'm just sitting there looking at them while I'm being offered my laurel. It's like, don't say anything. Don't say anything. Don't say anything. Thank you. And then the comment goes, it never comes from their majesties. It comes from other people going, so did you predict it? To which I hand the piece of paper to their majesties, or to His Majesty, who then holds it, folds it up, and goes, okay. No, you don't get the joke. Oh no, you're supposed to say it out loud. This is why you're not in theater. The long game. But yeah, it was it was a lot of fun. It was also the I decided to be elevated at the hottest event of the year. It was our June crown, and I think it was 112. And I was like, and here I am so stubborn going, I'm going to wear this outfit because this is what I've always dreamed of. I'm going to be a pretty, pretty princess and such, and it's all wool. I am layered in wool in 112 degrees.
I confess to doing something very similar for my ceremony where it was also about that hot, and it was head to toe wool.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. It's awesome.
But
I'm gonna look good.
I will look good, damn it. And I apologize. I feel like I'm babbling here. I apologize.
Oh, you're doing great. That's why we're here. Let's look at your pictures.
Oh, yes. Let's see. So what all these pictures are before I get to them, it's some of the projects I have worked on that I do have photographs of, plus other things that I am an artist for. Artiste. We get to share screen. Okay, can folks see that? Hopefully.
I can, and I'm waiting. The feed is a little delayed, so we're gonna go with yes. Yes, we can see it. And she's coughing. There we go. Now unmute.
Sorry about that.
There we go. We're good.
Okay. So this is actually an example. This is something I was getting into when I figured it out. I was so proud of myself. Horoscopes. This is actually a 15th century, late 15th century horoscope. And it's done in this very fast secretarial hand. And it's broken up into, can you see my mouse?
Yes.
Okay. So all of this information here in the center is usually the name of the person, when they were born, what city they were born in, certain specific dates and times. Everything else around here is, we have Gemini, we have Libra, we have Virgo, we have Leo, and then where were the different planets in those times as well. And then over here would be basically the small horoscope, either for a birth or for a, we see horoscopes for battles, for marriages, for a lost dog. I love the one for the lost dog. And this is for a birth. So, but this is a really good example. And this is something that inspired me to, because there's supposed to be a ton of these out there and we see them, but you don't really see a lot of people doing them. Now, there are some people in the SCA that are doing very wonderful pieces. I am a really rudimentary illuminator, and calligrapher, so my stuff isn't going to look as sharp. This is also a painting as a miniature, but if you can see over here, the hand of God is also showing something very similar. Again, a horoscope. This is kind of showing how prevalent they were.
So when you found that, did you like totally squee?
I did. I did. And that's one of the greatest things, because we'll see that with so many people when they're doing research. It's like you show a group of people, a group of artisans, a painting. Someone's going to look at the clothing. Someone's going to look at the paint. Someone's going to look at the accessories. Someone's going to look at the writing. All of this stuff. And everyone sees something different. This was someone was showing an example of a miniature painting because they're an artist and the history of that, an illuminator. I zeroed in on, oh my gosh, it's a horoscope.
How exciting.
Now, I started doing my own examples of that. This is one. Again, my form of calligraphy is but it's legible. I'll go with it. But this was one made for by an individual. And it's his name, his birth year, his where he was born. And then there are books from, oh gosh, I am forgetting the time period. We're talking 500 AD, where there are charts, and that you look at the charts, you compare it by the time, longitude, by where the person is located, longitude, latitude, if you have it, and you start calculating back and forth. And I have those charts. I also have a calculator program that does it much faster for me.
Right.
So where you see the symbols here like Taurus and Gemini, and in different sections, Leo there. Here you see Sirius was in Pisces, or Cancer, actually, I think it's Cancer. Polaris was in Gemini, and then up here you see Venus was in, and you're looking at the calculations as well. And it was so amazing because just like modern horoscopes, the placement of the planets and these stars said different things. Now, I'll say this, being an English major, being a creative writer, I would take some of these bits of information and then I would create a horoscope for them. And it's like, and so this is for an individual who is from the East, moved to the West, and then moved back to the East, and is I just mixed in a few things that I know of. Mm-hmm. So oh, this one's a little backwards. Okay. This is for Duchess Ebony Punslayer. Here it's like, okay, she was born at 4 a.m, or yeah, and in Berkeley, and on this date and this year and all that. Going back, this is a close-up of it all, where you can see it, and this is done on vellum. There are times I had scrap vellum, so I could just do these things. Polaris, Sirius, Pleiades, and such like that. And this was actually very period to see colors and the gold work as well, depending on the higher the clientele, the higher the status of the client. And you would have all of that. And again, so from there to writing out a very personal or personalized horoscope for them. And this is something I have fun with. We do in the West Kingdom a town fair. We've done it once so far, and we'll be doing it again. And I set up what would have been appropriate in the Middle Ages. Villages, townships, whatever, they all had their wise people, male or female. And in the larger towns and cities, you had several, and they had businesses. And some of the business was, okay, I need someone to write up a horoscope, or I need someone to create a charm or create a talisman or something like that. And that's what I ended up doing. I opened my shop and put up my signboard, and then I started creating these.
Very cool.
Yeah.
In my culture, it was they were inaris, and they were non-gender specific, which is
okay.
Thing. Yeah. They were all genders.
Absolutely. Whatever gender, however many genders the culture recognized. Absolutely. My persona is 16th century, mid 16th century. German French. She's right there in Strasbourg. And someone asked, so, okay, what did fortune tellers is a bad word, by the way. What did diviners look like? And I like using the Wednesday Adam thing. It's like, they look like everyone else. They don't look any different. There is no, you'll see ceremonial stuff in ancient Rome, Egypt, Assyria, such like that. But in the 16th century, the 15th century, 14th century, everyone looked pretty much like everyone else. It was a business.
Interesting.
This was for a gift for the crown who was going to, I think this was for Penzik or Estrella. A tree had fallen down in our kingdom, and it was a 450-year-old oak.
Oh, wow.
So I asked for some of the branches, and I took the branches and got them cut up, and then I started making runes out of them, and then made sure that they were also runes and various talismans, and then rubbed them down with linseed oil, as some of the documentation says that they would have actually been covered in some cases. And simple little gift I did for that. I am not proficient in rune reading. Please know, as a Laurel for divination, I am not proficient in all of these. I am not. I am not. There are exquisite and amazing individuals that know how to read the runes or the Ogam or various other styles. I bow to their knowledge. I understand what I'm looking at. I understand what I'm creating. I am not proficient in reading these. Now, I am proficient in certain other things, like, do you want your palm read? Do you want me to cast the bones? Do you want, by the way, I am looking for a volunteer to do entrail readings, and it's not what you think. So we'll get back to that one. I was going to use my little brother, but my little brother moved to Antir, and so he's not available right now.
Where's Antir?
Where is he in Antir? It's Stauffen Arvidsson. I think he's Portland, but he's one of our masters of defense.
Oh, cool.
Who has moved up. Master of Defense in Pelican. He is an amazing individual. This was something I was doing during COVID last year, was like, oh, look, I have leftover antlers. Because that was something I did as some of the tokens from when I was Laureled. I made up little antler charms. And these are just symbols that say, like, you know, strength and peace, or West Kingdom. This was one I made for a friend, and he's very much an Odin person, so. And it was just simple wood burning. Have no documentation whatsoever for these, but I also found out when making talismans, quick education lesson for folks, the difference between charms, amulets, and talismans based on Pliny the Elder. Charms are things that attract luck, think Lucky Charms. Amulets are things that push away bad, so amulets push away. Talismans are things that bestow a benefit upon a person, even if that is protection from thieves, being able to see in the dark, easy pregnancy, stuff like that. These are not documentable, but these are still something that goes off of people carrying, say, a lucky rabbit's foot, or something that makes them feel better or connects with them. And there were gifts and things I like doing. I like giving gifts. This is a reproduction I did of a 13th century Kamehameha. And what Kamehameha is a Judaic written talisman, so scriptural talisman. It is an exact, more or less a more or less exact copy of one that is from period found in book. The only difference is I translated, the book I got it from had it already translated into English, so I just did the English writing. A couple of friends of mine also in Ontario had asked me if I could write something for prosperity.
Mm.
So this is actually a period talisman for prosperity. And it is framed and hangs on their wall, and it was actually quite charming. I really, and again, this is on vellum. It's probably no more than a 3x5 card, if that. So these are always kind of fun. I like doing the talismans and amulets because you can make them very personalized. This one right here, this is one I created. I did research this one. This is specifically for friends of the Judaic faith. And because there were talismans and amulets and such like that in the Jewish faith and culture. This is, if I am reading it, remembering it correctly, okay. It again, it's for protection. I wanted something for protection during COVID. You have the Mogan David at the top, or the Seal of David. What is written, this is an exemplar only. The real ones that went out were done with calligraphy rather than me with a pen. And that is the Psalm 91 verse 10, which is basically, there shall be no evil that befalls you or your house. And it was then rolled up and placed on a pendant that they could wear. Now, one of the things about this is I had to research the fact that, one, I'm not Jewish. So I found a period example of an amulet, an amulet where it could be made by a non-Jew, and the language that was used, I didn't need the special paper, I didn't need the special ink, but so it was created correctly, and it could be worn on the body and did not have to be worn either during or not during the Sabbath. It could be worn whenever. And that was very particular. I wanted to make sure that all of my friends could enjoy different things. And even more cool is I had from a different project, I had an actual, it was torn out of a book from a 16th century missal. And you've seen those like on eBay where they'll show, like the book has been destroyed, so they're just selling the pages. I picked up this page, and it had a huge section on the side that had no writing on it and no illumination or anything. So I took that part off and cut it into these strips. So I only had a limited number of them, but these are all on 16th century parchment.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yes. Oh yes, my conceit, the great. This is my laurel medallion that was made by Master Ugo Dracul up in Ontier, and kind of my pride and joy. So
cool.
The symbol in the center is one that I've always enjoyed. The period meaning of it is simply black sulfur. The modern connotations I don't even apply to it. But black sulfur works so well in so many of the conjurings that you would sometimes see. And I just think it's cool.
Very cool.
These are silly things. These are just silly things. It's like, oh look, I've always wanted a hand of glory. So this is me and a Halloween hand and wax and toothpicks, but it looks good. So it's like, why are you even in there? Okay, this one I'll put out because this is me being silly. By the time this happened, this was at a Great Western War, I'll say 2018. And you had the West and Caid kind of like going at each other, as they are wont to do, because it's that war. I was like, Ghislane, do something. Yes, sure, okay. I'll be right back. Going to different campsites, going, do you guys have flour? And it's like, yeah, how much do you need? Can I just have a baggie full of flour? Okay. So a baggie full of flour, I find the Caid Pavilion, and I know binding runes. So I went around the entire Caiden Pavilion and in flour drew binding runes. You're not gonna win tomorrow. I'm being petty. That's okay. And a smiley face. So I put that up there to remind me going, because it was one of those things of like, can we do something? I don't know, Ghislane. I'm going, really? The one person who doesn't believe in any of this? Yes, I know what to do. Fine, if it's going to amuse you all, let's do it. The only thing I mean, and I was like, I can't do salt that'll damage the grass. I don't want to do that. Flour, I can do flour. Flour's fine. So walking by later, they're having a night's meeting. It's like, other things that I do besides the divination, the research and such like that is I do some costuming. And if you can't tell, I'm very much into the Germans. So these are just a few examples of the type of clothing that I've created. And I like Germans because they are attitude dresses. I'm 5'2". I am short, but I like making a presence. I take up a very big footprint, me and my personality. And so Germans, I kind of think help with that. So do Italians, apparently. This is the killer dress in the sense that every step of the way it tried to kill me. From the sewing machine exploding to pins stabbing me to it somehow ribbon got tied around my throat in the middle of the night. I mean, I'm pretty much thinking this thing, it's like a horror movie, a really bad horror movie, but a horror movie where you just hear this slithering of fabric coming down the hallway.
It was the karma from the Caid Pavilion runes.
Probably. But this thing is like, I threatened to make it into a cushion for a cat, and it did not. No, like, go for it. I dare you. I double dare you. So I sent it to go live in the East, and I hope it's okay there now. The further away from me, the safer. Again, more Italians. A friend with an embroidery machine put that same symbol up on the sleeves.
Awesome.
Yeah. More Germans.
And is that the pouch that you had your note in?
No. There is a gentleman down here who I think is just phenomenal. He is with his leatherworking. This is something he knocked out in a week, and it's like, it's gorgeous. It's incredible. He does these beautiful carvings on leather and puts together the pieces. And his name is Njal Moore, and his art is incredible. And I really want more people to take a look at it, at his work, because he just does incredible things, pouches and tooling and such like that. I belong to a theatrical group in the SCA. We're called the Golden Stag Players. This was for a production we did of Twelfth Night. And so making the party colored Elizabethan. More Italians. More Germans. And more Germans. I can make other things, but they're tea tunics, and you know, it's a tea tunic. I don't embellish my tea tunics. One of the other things you were asking about what my art with my path with Pelican is before we got started. My Pelican service is really kind of in the administration side of things, paperwork and offices, and making sure we have contracts handled and this, that, and the other. Something that's also come out of it has been photography. Photography is not a period art form, obviously. But in this day and age, this is how we're connecting, how we're communicating, how we're seeing people, how we're seeing our friends.
And documenting our history.
Yeah. In the West Kingdom, there's like 4 or 5 of us that are major players when it comes to photography, and they know about us. The most incredible one is Viscountess Esmeralda, and she is about to move, actually. So, but she does it all. She's amazing in her photography, professional, all of that. Photographers have different styles. I really can't do the fighting. I just don't have the system or the eye to catch fights as they happen. We have other photographers that do, though. Mine is, I'm a documentarian and a portrait photographer, and I get those kind of shots. And things that we'll find on our websites, or easily things that give emotion. My business is Compass Star Photography. You can find me on Facebook and see some of my work there as well. But portraiture of individuals. My goth goddess, come German, she's amazing. This is Viscountess Erzsébeta. Again, German goddess and all that.
I've had a little girl crush on her for decades. I think she's awesome.
Okay. We found out well after I was elevated that if I had no Laurel at a time, I would have loved to have been apprenticed to her, because we have the oddest connections on things. And she is just a phenomenal instructor and love of, I mean, I can ping her with the weirdest questions. She goes, okay, let's look at the answer. And we'll start researching things. And she's been brilliant. And she is definitely one of my mentors for a lot of things. A lot of my photographs, when I say documentarian, some of these end up being on our Kingdom Instagram page. This is Viscountess Uta and Viscount Ajax. This is Her Grace Helga during her knighting ceremony. And I didn't even get the best. There were only 3 of us photographers that were allowed. Me, Esmeralda, and a lady named Viscountess Catherine. And Esmeralda got the best shot, absolutely. I think I got the second best shot, but it's still, this is incredible. I get to see her and the swords and the power that is behind this shot.
And Mari behind her.
Exactly, the emotions.
Great.
This is one of my favorite shots. And you wouldn't know to look at it, honestly. This is at
her favorites too. When we interviewed her, she had this shot up. She loves this.
It was an inter-principality war, and she was her fighting. It was the knights fighting the guard, I believe, or everyone else. The knights versus everyone. And I'm up on top of this very tall castle tower that was built for the day. So I'm like in a second story, looking through trees, got the zoom on, and I'm clicking away, and all of a sudden I hit this shot, and I have to stop going, did I get it? Oh my God. You look through someone going, did I get this? By the time I got home, I stayed up until 1 a.m. and I couldn't sleep until I found the shot in my camera. I had to download all the photos. I had to go through everything. I'm going,
exciting.
yes, it's that. And it's beautiful, but there's something more about it. Hence, that shot happened.
Mm.
And this one became a meme. She showed me a meme when it came out. It's like, have you ever hit a shield wall hard enough that you broke the color balance?
Nice.
And it's fantastic. It shows her so beautifully. It shows the power. It shows the passion. It shows the fun. And it's something to show anyone who's interested in SCA. It's like, let me show you this. Well, tell me about those people. Well, that woman there, that's a woman? Oh, hell yeah. That's Helga. Let me just explain this one to you. Oh, talk about another woman crush. She's amazing.
Yeah, for sure. There she is.
Duchess Maury. Yeah, 2016. And again, I love having these. If I could do professional shoots of everybody, I would. And I love doing it. I love capturing these great portraiture images of people because everyone deserves photos of themselves and everyone is deserving of looking the part of their persona. So.
And it's important. My sister and I have been asked for photos of ourselves, and we don't have any because we're always the photo takers, right?
Exactly. The photos of me are all selfies, and
Yeah.
there's a huge reason for that because I can control how I look. Plus, look, filters. I can do all the filters. I don't like the creases under my eyes. Look, filters. Mari is just naturally gorgeous no matter what. And this was just before she moved to Australia. But I have like, oh God, Joel, Charles de Bourbon, several individuals up there, Caitlin and Lena, such like that. I have, as soon as I come up to Ontier for something, I'm going to be spending there 2 weeks just going around to different people and taking photographs. Because that's like, and I'm not charging anything. You want photographs? I will drive to you and we will take photographs. We will do a photo shoot. I'm happy because that's something I found out during COVID because I was doing so many offices and so many event stewarding and so many different things. I also do feast cooking, etc. That I got into the photography, one, because I hated seeing bad pictures of me online, but also I felt at a loss of what I could do to contribute to the kingdom and the SCA. Because, okay, if I don't have an office, what am I doing? And it's that thing that eats at your brain, but it's like,
it's that weird, I'm not worth anything if I'm not doing some sort of service.
Exactly. And the photography was kind of to get me to do something to keep myself active. And then people were seeing how good I am at it. And then I was also like trusted to do certain things. Because there's a lot of, I can get into certain places others can't. And it's a huge amount of trust that is given to me. And I am in constant gratitude for that trust.
I feel the same way about doing these interviews. It's
oh my gosh.
It's such an intense exchange of trust to have somebody spend an hour or 2 or 3 and talk about themselves and share their story. It's a great honor to be able to share in this. So thank you.
Well, you've been wonderfully brilliant. I actually don't know how long we're going, so I apologize if I'm going way over time here.
No, we're fine. We're fine.
Okay. But it was like something I was missing during COVID was being able to interact with individuals and take the photos. Now, in the last month or so, I've had a couple of engagements where we've been able to do distance photography. I've already, now that people are getting their vaccinations, people are contacting me and I'm contacting people, and I've got photo shoots lined up again.
Oh, that's so
I'm
exciting.
going, this is going to be brilliant. Her Majesty Vera, I've got individuals in the Mist, individuals in Sinagua. Like I said, as soon as I come up to Antir, I'm driving everywhere. Anytime anyone folks want, it's like, I will announce going, I'm going to be in Oregon. I'm going to be in Portland. I'll be in Seattle. Hit me up. I'll drive. I love driving. One of the big things coming from Los Angeles, I love driving because you don't get anywhere unless you drive.
I grew up in North County, San Diego, and my grandparents were in Claremont, so very familiar with that.
Well, I was going to say, unless you're in San Diego, and then all of them don't like driving outside.
Oh, I love driving. It meant freedom.
And there is that. And oh my gosh, Claremont is a gorgeous city.
Yeah.
I love that. No, it was always the funniest thing when you had folks wanting to go to an event and they were in San Diego, Calafia. As long as they didn't have to go through the LA basin, they would drive an hour out of their way just to avoid the LA basin. It's like, okay, you do you, bunny. These are some of my favorite shots. The Western Thrones, an incredible piece of work, both of them, of woodworking. There is a carving in the large roundel, and it sits almost perfectly behind every seated set of royals. And so it's now become one of my things for each reign to get that portrait and to have their head framed by the circle or show off. The circle basically shows the Western arms. So and this is obviously His Grace Duke Havek.
I like that he's got a peerage on each shoulder.
Exactly, yes. It's the one thing that's missing. Is like, I think eventually the Order of Defense will get added somewhere. I'm just not positive, because the original craftsman of this piece no longer plays. So find an environment. This is one of the things I try to teach for people when we do when I teach photography for SCA or other historical reenactment. I don't care if you are in the middle of a parking lot or whatever. Somewhere around you, you can take a picture that is passable, period. This was in a ravine off the side of a very modern building. Okay, she looks wonderful anyways. And so just adding that little bit of pop of color and adding the background and just framing it right. This was, again, one of those documentations or one of those atmosphere photos I like taking. This one here is very particular. This is West Kingdom 50 year, 50 Beltane. This gentleman here is Master John de Clay. And he is one of the founders of the SCA. He is the one who read the original first invocation of a crown list in the society. And it was in Latin. And for all of those who were interested in a Trivial Pursuit question, the invocation is the Latin version of Winnie the Pooh. Yeah, but it sounds good. But he stood there at 50 year and read the exact same Latin litany of invocation. And he stood there with the man could have been reading something that was written by the Pope back in the 1500s, whatever. He is saying it with such passion and such gravitas and such thought to it that you would not know that he was reading Winnie the Pooh. And it still is so brilliant because people are going, this is perfect. So this is one of those documentation things because it's unlikely we'll see John DeClay again. And this is a founder of the society. So to be able to document this was huge.
Beautiful.
What kind of castles do you have up in Antir?
We have a really cool kind of Stonehenge thing.
Ooh.
That's on the east side of the Columbia Gorge. I think that's probably the coolest historical looking
there
that we have.
Okay, so Northern California, we have Napa, which means we have the Napa wineries. This is a place called Castello de Amorosa, and it is a winery that is built to look like an Italian or Spanish, I think 13th century, 14th century castle. And it's incredible. It's the stonework and the furniture and everything else they've put into it, and the surrounding landscape is incredible. It's gorgeous. To do photo shoots there is a blast. You just have to drive it. This is actually from a birthday party, and it was a clothed birthday party, a costume birthday party. And this particular lady she has the perfect medieval profile. Her clothing and ensemble were excellent. And so the light was coming in just right. So it made for a perfect atmosphere photo again. Again, something that would be perfect for our Instagram page, something to show off to other people going, look, have you ever had those dreams or daydreams about the lady waiting for her knight to come home? Ta-da! So such like that, and just an elegant. Let's see, beyond photography, I do a little bit of calligraphy and illumination. Small things, mostly illumination. Mostly illumination. Calligraphy, I'll be honest, any of my good calligraphy is traced. Now, tracing was period. That's the only way I'll get around it. But this is actually a documentation of the first 8 principal heralds of Caid at the time. So that was a document. This was a gift for my then Laurel. This, however, was a gift I did in COVID this is a majority of the members of the acting troupe, the Golden Stag Players. And this went to the 2 individuals who created the acting troupe. So this was a gift to them. And again, look, it's all illumination. So, and I'm really into the colors and how striking it all is. We had a little illumination contest. This is for Mistress Lucrezia down here, her heraldry. And the only reason I don't do more calligraphy and illumination is space. I usually am not in a place where I have a lot of space to put up my drafting table and all of that. So I didn't do the calligraphy, I did the illumination. Same here. I also believed in, I've gotten much better. I can see now with sort of like, oh, I should have done this or I should have done that. I think that's the case with anyone who does artwork like this.
Yeah. There's everything I do. I'm like, oh, I should have done blah, blah, blah with it.
Again, one of my favorite though is Manessa Codex doing that. And again, someone else did the writing. So when we got to it. Yeah. The illumination is one thing, but when, in this case, did I do this one? No, I didn't do this one. Okay. I did the illumination. I did do the calligraphy. That one I did both. But and these, for the most part, they're Kaidens. The ones I don't have photographs of anyone I've done for the West. And it's kind of driving me nuts. It's like, how did I not get these? But okay, correction. This one's from the West. I have a photograph of this one because the gentleman and his wife lost their house and the majority of their belongings in the Paradise Fires a few years back. And this scroll was lost. So it's my intent to now go back and recreate it. So I'm glad I have the documentation. And especially now that I can look at it and going, okay, I want to recreate this for him so he has this again. So, and that's pretty much all my photos.
So I usually ask what your plan is to as we restart. And I don't really look at it as going back. I think we're starting over when we go back.
Very much starting over.
Yeah. What is your plan personally to start over? Are you going to change the way that you play in the SCAA, or?
That it remains to be seen, because I won't know how the SCA has changed that way until I'm back in it. And I am big on, if I had an unofficial motto, it is evolve or die. And we need to move forward to preserve the game. And yes, it's a game, people. Get with it. It's a hobby. It's a game, please. It's a lifestyle, but it's a game. It does need to evolve to maintain modern guidelines, modern respects, and such. Hence why we've really have, even in the time of COVID, done massive changes to how things function and how we perceive situations and how we address matters. Me personally, I want to I'm going to document more, because the first year back, I think we're going to see an influx of people, and I think we're going to see a loss of people. A good number of folks have already moved to different areas. So people who have always kind of been that constant person you would always see at an SCA event in the West Kingdom is no longer going to be there. So document where I can. It's a realization for me, and this happens with a lot of photographers, that you photograph what you know, or you photograph who you know. I need to get to the point where I'm photographing everyone and anything. Everyone is deserving of being preserved. It is one of my greatest fears on this planet to be forgotten. And I don't want that to be the case for almost anyone. So if I can capture a moment of them, be it receiving a rose, be it receiving an AOA, or laughing with friends, or being pounced on by a herd of dogs. I don't know. It's, oh my God, never, never, as a photographer, never pass up a chance to photograph a dog. Photograph all the pets. They are family too.
Yep. And they don't live as long as most people do.
Right. But capture the moments. And that's really what I want to do. I document court happenings, and I document finals, and I document this. I'm not capturing the moments, and I need to do that more. And that's something I want to do, because I want the SCA preserved in all of its aspects, in all of its good aspects. And to do that, I need to up my game and be more conscious and conscientious. So I think that's going to be one of my driving bits.
I think that's a good thing for all of us to focus on, is recognizing things that maybe haven't been a part of our circle, that we need to expand our focus and our appreciation for all of the different parts and niches that the SCA has.
Being an extrovert, how can I look across the field going, how do I not know that person? All my friends know that person. How do I not know that person? You know what? I need to change that too.
Yeah.
I think it might be one of those things that coming back within the SCA in person, there's going to be building connections with people that you may not have before. I mean, really, before COVID, you and I didn't know each other. So I want to come up to Ontier, and maybe at some point you and I can do a photo shoot or have drinks or something or whatever and hang out, and I can babble you in person, and you go like that, and it'll be just like real life. So
I'm looking forward to that as well. I have spent a lot of the last 17 years in the SCA kind of in camp with my kids, and haven't, a lot of people think I don't play anymore, but I'm there. I'm just in the tent with my kids. So my kids are older now, and that can change for me now. And I'm super excited to take advantage of all the new people that I've met with all of these interviews, and be able to hang out with people and make more connections. I'm super excited about it. So I'm there.
Well, and also I'm kind of determined. And anyone in the West Kingdom knows I have a fear of flying. And to the point that I've canceled going to Gulf Wars because I can't do this. I can't. Well, you know what? Life is about risks. Life is about taking chances. Life is about exploring. And I can't be the person that never leaves my kingdom. I can't be that person anymore. I really can't. I want to go to all these different kingdoms and meet the people I have met online now, and have them show me their kingdom and their world and their friends and their environment, because that's also going to be what we say the internet connects us. It does, but it also shows how limited connection is or can be. So if I can do things in person, that's when I'm going to do it. That's what I'm going to do, and strive to do that. And work through your fears.
Good for you. That's a big fear to work through. Is there anything that you wanted to talk about tonight that we haven't talked about?
You still want to hear me talk? Wow.
Well, I just want to make sure that you've told all the parts of your story that you want to tell.
Oh. Okay, so one of the interesting things I really briefly is correcting some, either giving reassurance or correcting some misunderstandings from folks. Is this can be a relatively, from going from a newish artisan to a laurel, can be a relatively quick trip, relatively being 5 years. It can be longer. 15 years is not unheard of these days. I am also not in a well-known art form with a ton of research out there that we can pull on. And that was me having to find my own way. I want folks not to be discouraged. I want folks to understand, artisans to understand whatever. It's like, if you're happy being a dilettante and just dabbling in art forms, that's cool. And do what you enjoy, do what you love. Don't worry about the cookie. What I really need to ask folks, it's like, what is so important about a laurel? What is so important about getting a laurel medallion and losing your mornings or your days going to meetings? I love being a part of that part of the community where it's been forcing me to do even more research, not just into other art forms, but into individuals and getting to know them. Because in the West Kingdom, we have this thing during meetings, like somebody's name is brought up on the watch list, and you'll see people do this. This is deer in the headlights. It's like, we don't know who the person is. We don't know what we're talking about. And really, that is terrible on our part. It kind of makes sense for, say, someone in the far west, which is the Japans and Thailand and all of that. Moderately makes sense for those up in Owertha, which is Alaska. But when you're doing this and it's somebody who is only 100 miles away, that's a failing on our part. And I want to be able to connect with these individuals and learn more about their art. And I mean, just as individuals, just as artisans, not going, are they ready? Are they worth being in this group? No, I don't want to do that. I want to, and I would like the fact that I'm getting kind of it not shoved in my face. It is more a thing of reminded that I don't know it all. No one knows it all. But also that I need to experience more. Yeah, I've been in 30 plus years and I need to see more because I'm still very limited in my scope and I need to see more people and I need to get to know more people. And every person I know makes another connection, and it's art form and this, that, and the other. Being a laurel, getting the recognition means that my art form was validated in the public eye. I don't know what it is so much for other people, like embroiderers or woodworkers or researchers, other stuff like that. But because mine was such a special niche, having it validated publicly was a huge thing. Beyond that, I could have gone without it. And I remember actually having that failing of going, well, why aren't I a laurel? I do all this work. Why aren't I up here? La 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 la. And it's like, because you have that attitude. And I'm still maturing, and I'm still learning, obviously, like that. But it is one of those things of people who are artisans who are looking to become a laurel. What is your end goal? Why do you want to be a laurel? Why do you want to be part of this group? And how important is it to you? And I mean, again, I'm babbling here a little bit because I'm losing my words, but you understand what I'm saying, though.
Yeah, I have a funny story.
Oh yeah.
My friend Duchess Dagmar, the day that I got offered, kept me waiting and was trying to kind of keep me in place. And I really wanted to go back to the hotel because I had a kid and a 5-month-old, and I was just done. And she was talking about the things I needed to do to get there. And I looked at her and I said, I just want to do my thing. I don't want to jump through any more hoops. It's not fun. I just want to do what I love, and I just want to do my thing. And then I got called up and I got offered. And so it's like I had to physically, in my brain, get there, where it was like, I want to do the work and I want to follow my passion. And I don't care what hoops people think I should jump to be the thing. I'd rather not be the thing. I'd rather just do what I love. And I think that's a really hard place to get. But I totally encourage people to try to get there. Because feeling bitter about not being recognized isn't healthy. It isn't healthy for you. It isn't healthy for the SCA. Yeah, that's all I have to say about that.
Yeah, it's because that in and of itself is another 3-hour conversation. And I wish I had the magic words to tell individuals I know, very dear individuals, of like, I don't know why. And even if I did know why, I really couldn't tell you specifics that way. But I am here to encourage you. I am here. I don't believe in cheerleading, but I believe in going, yes, you have a problem. Let's work through a problem. Let's talk it out. Let's do this. If that is your goal and you know the goal and you understand your reasons for it, then you're willing to work at it, then yeah, you can do it. But also think about, is it going to make you happy? Is life going to be better once you have that little check mark? Are you suddenly your SCA experience is going to change? I mean,
and yes, your SCA experience is going to change, but it's way more of a mind fuck than it is a party.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for saying it.
But that's another whole set and series of conversations.
I cannot believe it's been almost 2 hours, and oh my gosh, you've been so patient listening to me. All of you out there as well. Wow.
Yeah, you've been amazing. Thank you so much for your time and for
thank you.
Tomorrow, my sister and I are, you were talking about Joel earlier. In the SCA, he is Baron Aaron Carino, and we are interviewing him tomorrow night. So
I saw that. I'm so excited.
Yeah, we're really looking forward to that. And
Seamus as well.
Seamus is, I think, in June. It's a while away out. And this weekend, Rifkin and I, along with Duchess Dagmar and Cal, who does a lot of the work for Between Two Peers, are going to be on the Hound and Stag. So, and that should be live streaming to our page as well as their page. And then on Sunday morning, that's 8 a.m. Saturday morning. So get your coffee and your jammies. And then Sunday, I am interviewing a Laurel from Drachenwald.
Oh, fab.
Yeah. And I don't have my glasses on and I can't read her name. But the event information is on our page. So that's what we have coming up in the next few days. It's a busy week.
You and your sister both are just incredible individuals. And thank you. Thank you so much for doing all of this and for all the time and the effort you have put into all of it. Thank you.
It has been a pleasure and just such a gift to be able to do this. So thank you for saying thanks.
Okay.
And thank you everybody for watching tonight. And we'll see y'all tomorrow. Good night.
Night
Thanks.
night.